Let's take a look at the problems from homework. Problem number 1, they gave us a problem that was x squared minus 4x plus 4. First thing we're going to do is we're going to label a equals 1 because there's a 1 out front in here. B equals negative 4. C equals positive 4. Okay, this parabola will open up because that is a positive 1. It's a positive number. Now we're going to use x equals negative b over 2a, and that's going to find us our axis of symmetry. We'll call that AOS. So I get x equals negative 4 over 2 times 1. That's going to give me 4 over 2, so x equals 2. So that is our axis of symmetry. We're trying to draw ourselves an xy axis. The axis of symmetry is 2, so over 2, this is our axis of symmetry. Our vertex lives somewhere on that line. So we know part of our vertex, we know we have 2, okay? And that's going to be in the middle of our grid when we have that grid that is listed on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So our vertex lives right here. So 2. If I take 2 and plug it in, I'm going to get 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 4, which is 4 minus 8 plus 4. If I add all that together, I get 0. So I have a vertex at 2, comma 0. Okay. That's our vertex. That's also going to be our root. Okay. There's no, it's not going to cross the x-axis more times. It just happens to be our vertex, and it happens to be the same thing as our root in this case. So now I'm going to pick a number. Well, let's figure out our y-intercept. So remember, our y-intercept is 0, comma c. So in this case, it's 0, comma 4. So 0, comma 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our vertex, or our y-intercept, excuse me. Notice I'm 2 away, so I'm going to go 2 away this way, and that's going to take me to 4, comma 4. That's the mirror. That's the same distance from our axis of symmetry. So then we can say, all right, well, let's plug 1 in. If I plug 1 in, I'm going to get 3 as well. So if you plug 1 into your above equation, you're going to get 1 squared minus 4 times 1 plus 4. That's 1 minus 4 plus 4. So that's going to give me just 1. That would also give me a 1 there. So I have 1, comma 1, which is here. And I have 3, comma 1. So 1, 2, 3, comma 1, which is here. And look at that. I have all of the points that I need in order to establish this. So I guess I could put that 0 and 4, and that's 4 and 4 to fill out the rest of our graph. That's all we have for problem number 1. So problem number 2, we are going to do y equals 2x squared plus 4x minus 3. We're going to label our a is 2, our b is equal to 4, our c is equal to negative 3. It opens up because that's a positive 2. And we're going to go x equals negative b over 2a to get our axis of symmetry, AOS. So x equals negative 4 over 2 times 2. That gives me negative 4 over 4. So my axis of symmetry is actually negative 1. So let's draw ourselves our xy axis. I guess I could have done a little better. So that's negative 1. This is my axis of symmetry. My vertex lives somewhere on that line. So I know that filling out my grid, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my vertex is going to be right in the middle. So at negative 1, comma something, we'll find our other value. So I'm going to take negative 1, I'm going to plug it in to our x values. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. Positive 1 times 2 is 2. Minus 4 minus 3. So 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Minus 3 is negative 5. So our vertex lives at negative 1, negative 5, which is down here. Okay. Now let's figure out our y-intercept. So remember, that's always going to be 0 comma c, which in this case is going to be 0 comma -3. So 0, -3 is right there. Notice on this one, we're only 1 away from the axis of symmetry. So I'm going to go 1 away over here. And so that's going to give me 0, -3. There's a negative right there. And the other one's going to give me -2, -3. So we need to pick one more value. So I'm going to pick a value to the right. So I'm going to plug 1 in. Did I draw my parabola on one? I did draw. I had to make sure I drew my parabola on the last problem. Okay, so I'm going to plug 1 in. So 1 squared is 1. 1 times 2 is 2, plus 4 minus 3. So that's going to give me 6 minus 3, which is just going to give me 3. So this is also at -3, so that's going to give me the same value because that's 2 away from the vertex. So 1 comma 3 is right here. And -1, -2, -3, comma 3. So that's 1 comma 3, and that's -3 comma 3. And that's the rest of our parabola. Now let's go to the notes, which are going to be on page 85. Okay, and this is interpreting the graph. Let's see, we don't have the warm-up, that's okay. So a parabola, think about kicking a soccer ball. A ball would travel a parabolic arc. This is the first problem. So I know that I'm going to label my vertex in the middle. My A value is 1, my B value is 2, my C value is -8. This will open up because that is positive. So I have x equals -b over 2a. So x equals -2 over 2 times 1. X equals -2 over 2, which is -1. So my axis of symmetry is this, AOS. That's at -1, so that's right here. Okay, my vertex will again live on that line, so let's figure out what my vertex is. I'm going to take -1 and plug it into my equation, so I get y equals -1 squared plus 2 times -1 minus 8. -1 times -1 is +1. 2 times -1 is -2 minus 8, so that's going to give me -7. So -1, -7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is right down here. That's my vertex. I'm going to find my y-intercept as well, which is 0 comma c. So in this case, it's 0 comma -8. So 0 comma -8. Hang on, did I make a mistake? Oh, that should be a -9. I'm so sorry. That's a -9. My dot was off a little bit. That's down here, so that should have been 0, -9. I apologize, I made a mistake. And then my y-intercept is going to be at 0, -8, which is right here. So that's 1 to the right. If I go 1 to the left, I get to -2. That's also going to give me -8. So -2, -8 is down here. And then I'm going to plug a 1 in, see what we get. So I'm going to get y equals 1 squared plus 2 times 1 minus 8. 1 squared is 1 plus 2 minus 8. So that's 3. That's going to give me a -5. So at -3, that's also going to give me -5. So I'm counting either direction. So I get to 1, -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 1, -5. And then I have the mirror image also over here, which is going to be at -3, -5. Now notice this table, it's going to cross the x-axis. It's possible we could actually figure out what the roots are if we pattern graph a little bit further, but we're going to learn a method later tomorrow that'll teach us how to do that a little bit more. Okay, we're going to use some words. The domain are x values, and our domain Our domain for parabolas that we're going to use will always be negative to positive infinity. The range is the y value. And the range is from the bottom y value or the top y value. And if you're using the bottom y value, it goes to infinity. If you use the top y value, it goes to negative infinity. That means it opens up or it opens down. Okay, the max or min value of f of x, this is the y value of the vertex. If it opens down, it's going to be a min. If it opens up, it's going to be min. If it opens down, it's going to be a max. The roots is where it crosses the x-axis. Okay, and so you can label that as a point, and I'm going to say that it could be points because it could touch twice. The vertex is x comma y. It's just, we've been doing that. The axis of symmetry is x equals negative b over 2a, whatever that worked out to. Increasing is where the graph is going up, and you start from the vertex, and you talk about the x value, and then interval where it's positive is above the x-axis. Okay, so that can be a little complex, but we're going to talk a lot more about that. Okay, so the domain of this, we said the domain is always negative to positive infinity. Those are the x values. The range is going to be the y values. Okay, so let's take a look. This is our vertex at 3 comma 1. So our range is going to go from 1, and it's a hard bracket, to infinity. The minimum or maximum, well, this is going to be a minimum value. Our minimum value is going to be 1 because it refers to the y component. Our roots, this one will have none that are real. This means the real number system. Our vertex in this case is going to be 3 comma 1. We're going to talk more about how the roots deal with the name. The axis of symmetry is, well, it's right here, so it's going to be x equals 3. Remember, it's always the x component of the vertex. The interval that it's decreasing, so decreasing means it's coming down. Okay, so it's coming from negative infinity up until the point 3. And they're round brackets because right at the vertex, it's not decreasing. In the interval where it's negative, it's not below, so not below x-axis. So it's not negative anywhere on this graph. This is just a word problem. I'm not going to worry about this as a problem to work on. So not to do. So your homework for this particular unit is going to be, I want you to finish on page 84. I want you to do number 3 and number 4. That was the continuation of last night's homework. And then tonight I want you to also work on page 87 and page 88. And I just want you to give this a really good try. Page 89, don't do. We're not going to worry about that. Okay, so don't worry about that. Okay? Hope you have a great day. Remember, in the folder that's going to be, you can find the odd answers. It's the other purple color folder that is right after this week on Schoology. Have a great day. Bye-bye.